Manager, the head pharmacist. Hey everybody, so you're going to see a little 12-minute clip that I just shot. Decided to take a walk over to my local pharmacy, and I set up an appointment, a consultation with the pharmacy manager, the head pharmacist there, and decided to pick her brain about vaccines. They have free flu shot signs and free shingle shots, I think. So I just wanted to pick her brain. As you guys will see in the video, I try not to be in any way antagonistic. I mean, look, at the end of the day, people like her, for the most part, they mean well. They just have been brainwashed from corrupt medical books and things that they've studied. So you'll see the takeaway from all this, though, what I was just walked away scratching my head with, and this is our fault as citizens. This is not the system's fault, but it's crazy how the questions I was asking her, you guys will see and hear in the footage that she obviously has never been asked these questions. And what's crazy to me is that when I talk to people, it's almost like we make better educated decisions when we buy a new car or buy a house or go on a vacation. We research that thoroughly, but yet when it comes to injecting drugs into our body, we just take doctors and FDA's word for it, and we just walk into a slaughterhouse completely blind without asking any questions. So I don't want to keep rambling on, but take a look at the video and see if you think what I think. But I think it's really crazy, man. I really think the urgency for all of us to wake up and become aware of our surroundings and start asking questions has never been greater. So check out the video. Hi, I just wanted to know, like, I don't see ingredients anywhere. Are they listed or not? Of what's actually in them?
On the vaccine?
Yeah.
Should list both active and inactive. They're all preservative free though, so.
When you say preservative free, there's no what?
Usually that contains like the thimerosal or the mercury of some sort that is the
So how are they preserved now if they're not using that?
Because they're single-use syringes. So they're in a sealed single-use syringe. So the only time they need preservative in them is if it's a multi-dose vial. So since it's a single-use syringe, you don't need the preservative. It's just sealed, kept in the fridge until it's used.
Gotcha. But I just don't see actual ingredients, you know what I mean?
I don't either. Might be something that you'd have to call the manufacturer on to see for sure.
Are they all like that? I mean, do you have them for do you do the MMR here?
We do offer the MMR, yeah.
Do you have that insert? Is it maybe in there?
All of them are going to be a little different.
Sure, yeah. Just trying to do my homework, really, overall. You hear so many mixed things about all of it, so I'm just kind of curious,
This one this is the teed up vaccine. I don't know if that's one of them you're looking for.
Sure.
Oh, you don't have it on there. This one.
Most of the stuff for kids, because I have a little child at home and I'm just kind of still on the fence about everything.
Okay, this has all of the ingredients right there on the back.
And this is the flu?
So all of the medications, stuff that you read online about it causing ADHD or autism, there was one professional who was out there who fabricated all this data on it. Basically, it was found to have fabricated all the data, so they pulled his license. And unfortunately, the damage had been done at that point. People then associated vaccines with autism or ADHD, even though this doctor fabricated all the information. So the biggest thing that people are concerned about is mercury and thimerosal are the two ingredients that they're like, ooh, no. So if there is any mercury or thimerosal in an injection, it is in the tiniest, smallest, minute amount where you would get more mercury in like a fillet of salmon as opposed to a flu shot vaccine.
Right.
So the vaccines that we mainly carry are preservative free.
So the people that you hear like Guillain-Barré and all that, what does that cause from with the flu shot? Is that the heavy metals or?
I've actually never heard of that association with
it's on the insert as well. That could be a possible reaction.
Has occurred within 6 weeks.
And this is canine kidney cells in the flu shot. So what is that? The flu virus is from the canine kidney cells, or it says prepared from virus propagated with canine kidney. So what does that mean exactly?
That I'm honestly not even sure about. Prepared from virus. Oh, I see. So the way they isolated the inactivated virus in order to grow it, they grew it in canine kidney cells instead of using human cells to grow it in, and then isolated the inactivated vaccine from that to create the vaccine. So the vaccine covers 4 strains. You can see them here, the Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, Singapore ones. It's the 4 most common strains of the flu virus that are seen in the community. It does not cover all of the vaccines. So unlike an MMR vaccine, that's like 90+% effective for...
What is that? 90, would you say what?
I'm not actually even sure what it is, but this one, the MMR one, we know prevents measles, mumps, and rubella. The reason we're seeing it in the community now is because people haven't vaccinated their children with this disease, was almost eradicated completely.
Now, is there a shedding with that though? Is that, are you contagious after getting that? Because I know the flu, it says there's a shedding of like 2 to 3 weeks, and I've kind of read...
Where did you read that there's a shedding of
I've read that you're contagious. It's a live virus.
This one is not a live virus in the flu vaccine. So there might have been information on the nasal spray flu vaccine that used to be a live virus that they did for children. As far as I've heard, they pulled that one from the market. The flu vaccine that we have is an inactivated vaccine that cannot cause the...
Same with the MMR?
So the MMR on the converse of that is a live vaccine. So I don't know what the shedding period is, or if there is one.
So after you get it, you should be at home for a couple days, or is that recommended?
Not necessarily. I mean, we don't usually recommend that. It's just that it is a live vaccine, so if you're immune compromised, then that's just something that we don't give.
But if there is a possible shedding process and you're not home, then technically you could pass it around, correct?
If there is a shedding process, I suppose yes. I guess it's just not something that we've ever counseled someone on or been concerned about, I guess. But I guess, yeah, you're correct. If you do some research and find that there is shedding, it's just not something that, I know doctors haven't told children to stay home after vaccinating, and we don't ever tell someone that you need to stay home afterwards.
And then I've also read something disturbing, aborted fetal tissue. Is that true, or is that in most vaccines? Or
I have never heard of that being in vaccines. I would assume that by using the kidney cells of this one, which I guess is the first time I've ever looked at that, that would avoid using the aborted fetus. Oh, Lord help us. I have never actually heard
Oh, really? Because I've read it's in almost a lot of them, but I don't know what to believe.
I think they would have to actually word that on here, like they said. So, like, this one is prepared in chicken eggs. This one is considered to be okay if you have an egg allergy, so I think they got around the egg. That
was my next thing, because one of the things I read on the MMR is that if you do have an allergy, for like, I have a child at home that's 3 months old, so should I do an allergy test first before I administer that?
Usually
and what if there's a reaction?
Usually they just do vaccines right away without doing allergy. So you haven't done any of her childhood vaccines?
Not yet. She's 3 months, so I guess we'd start pretty soon, right?
Yep, you do start soon. And they're all done in the doctor's office. So this is all
this is for adults here.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So all of her vaccine schedules will be done in the doctor's office. A lot of times times they use different ones even than what we have.
Okay.
In order to limit the amount of sticks that they're giving a little baby.
Yeah.
A lot of times, a lot of the vaccines are packaged like in an all-in-one type thing.
Okay.
So like you'll get 4 vaccines in one type of shot or something like that.
At like 3 months old, they'll do that?
It depends on the age. I don't know what the exact vaccine schedules are because I just don't deal with them here.
Yeah.
But your doctor can tell you, what the schedule is, but it is important to
and what worries me too is like, say like the egg or the dog, like who's testing, like how do I know there's
These are all
like,
FDA regulated.
Right.
So they're tested constantly by the FDA. Nothing that's prescribed from your doctor or us goes without being checked by the FDA.
Yeah.
That being said, there's obviously always those like crazy stories that you read. There's always those risks that you take, but it's weighing those risks versus benefits.
So what worries me a lot too is the whole, I think it was in 1986, there was a
like the compounding thing
where you can't sue them if something happens. They're like completely immune, any manufacturer of these. There's a vaccine injury court that I've read that certain tax percentages from each shot goes to, and it's paid out over $4 billion since 1986 for injuries.
I mean, that's again something that I am not
sure.
I guess familiar with or sure of. I know there's plenty of lawsuits that go out towards drug companies.
Yeah, but I read like this specifically, you can't even sue them because they're immune. As of 86, Reagan passed the bill when he was president.
Okay, that I guess I'm not familiar with at all.
All right.
All I can say from a healthcare professional standpoint, the vaccines, it's definitely good to do your research.
Yeah.
However, you're weighing your risks versus benefits. There's always that potential for side effects. There's always those potential risks. But the potential risk of your child getting measles, mumps, or rubella could be death. Your potential risk of getting the flu or something like that could be death. Right. So it's those things.
Could death occur with a shot as well? I mean, there's a small percentage, right?
Theoretically, sure. There's a very small percentage. But when we're having a measles outbreak right now, which, like I said, this disease was almost eradicated, but due to not vaccinating children, we're now seeing it again. And
but then what worries me though is like you said, there is a possible shedding process, right? So
that I don't know about. You would have to ask
but if there is, then we wouldn't know that if it's being spread from the vaccinated or the unvaccinated. Because I read
it would be
was it in June? Was it what's the school in Studio City? Something Westlake. There was a whooping cough outbreak, and all 50 kids had the shot, and they all had the whooping cough. So like that's worrisome to me. That was like in May or June of this year, the end of the school year.
Okay, yeah. I mean, they could have been infected before because it takes about 2 weeks for a body's immune system to develop those antibodies too. So if there was one kid who had whooping cough already, they told parents to go get your children vaccinated. If they were already exposed to it, that vaccine at that moment wouldn't
really work.
Exactly, because it takes.
So it really is Russian roulette with all this. I mean, there's no guarantee. There's a risk. There's a risk with all of it.
But the thing that I see with it, there are children who cannot be vaccinated because they're immune compromised.
Right.
A compromised immune system child is at obviously greater risk for lots of different infections and diseases. Yeah. Children who are vaccinated, it's called herd immunity, help to protect those children as well. Right. So there's also that where if you have,
but again, if there's an immunocompromised kid there and I just got the shot yesterday, I could make him susceptible if I'm shedding. If it's a live virus vaccine, right?
That's how it works. Again, that's just something where you'd have to ask the doctor. I've never heard a doctor.
So, like, if my daughter got the shot, would I have to get it, or are my wife and I susceptible to catching that if it is a shedding
type? You've never been vaccinated?
I was vaccinated as a kid, but not as an adult.
Then if you've had the MMR vaccine, then
that lasts for a lifetime. If I got it as a kid.
If they're concerned about, you're considered. If you've gotten it as a kid, you're considered immune to it.
You are okay.
If there's a situation where they're concerned about you being exposed to it, they would take titers to see if you still have antibodies built up to it. Right. But you're considered immune and they don't revaccinate it unless you've had those titers to kind of prove that you are low and do need it.
Right. Okay. All right. That's a lot of information.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I mean, it's definitely a lot to think